Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Friends of Mortgage Heroes. I am so excited today to welcome back to the studio 0800, but it is 0800 with both Talia and Ashley joining us today to talk full spectrum. What are we doing with 0800? How are you involved in the community? How can people look to you for a resource and support? So Talia and Ashley, welcome to the studio. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Now, the last time I had you here, Ashley, we were talking about veteran suicide prevention very specifically and timely because of someone around us that we had lost. Thank you again so much for coming in. We were able to share that with a lot of people, and even our team members here were sharing it with other people that are around them and their circle as well. And especially it being kind of during that Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year season, that was really timely, and I just really appreciate that. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. I think it was a tough time for the people that you were around, and then the holidays to follow that. It's there's never an easy experience around suicide, but having an open dialogue and hopefully encouraging the listeners to have an open dialogue with people who might have been struggling at that time or still feel like they are. That was our objective, and that continues to be the same today. It
was awesome. Talia, I know that you were able to see it. Ashley did a great job. Yeah. And it honestly, it helped me too. Like I was like, I need to have this conversation. I want to have this conversation. I'll put myself there to allow others to also listen and watch and go through those things too, as far as processing. So thank you. That from me personally, that meant a lot too. So thank you very much. And it's my honor today to welcome you both here to talk about what you do beyond that. So, Talia, I want to make sure I say this right. Talia Gaytán Matson, yes. You're the program director for 0800. What does the program director do in the life of 0800?
Yeah, so great question. So what I do is make sure that the team does their job in a clinical fashion, not only ethically, appropriately, making sure that we're serving our veterans in the way that they deserve. So I make sure that our team completes the proper mental health assessments. We're doing the proper screening tools, as well as supporting Ashley, making sure that we do get the word out there and building partnerships with the VA and other nonprofit organizations to make sure that we're all doing the work together.
That's awesome. I know typically there's a personal connection when it comes to this type of work. Do you have a personal connection story with the military that compelled you to want to do this work?
So my father actually was on the USS Missouri. So he was a Navy veteran, served in the Persian Gulf War, Desert Storm. And so that is my personal connection. Also, my family my mom has worked for Navy Region Southwest since she was 19 years old. So she's about to retire.
Oh, wow.
So, wow. I never saw myself going into the military space. However, when I got into social work, I kind of fell into that role and then just found myself, I like to say, by chance, but I've grown into this and it really has pulled at my heart in a way that I didn't think it could have.
That's a really cool intersection.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. We're in a different but similar kind of way, like, even here at Mortgage Heroes, like we have so many family that have been like in every altercation from World War II to present, in some form or fashion. And yet the people that are here on our immediate team did not serve, but we have such a heart for our family and our friends and our neighbors that have and continue to. They're like, well, how can we do our part of doing something for them? And many, many years ago, we're like, well, we're going to do VA. We're going to do that. And so I love that. I'm really happy to hear that.
Can I add?
Yeah.
I think from somebody who husband served 24 years in the submarine force, it's so nice to see organizations whose mission may be around military and veterans and that they haven't served or that their spouse hasn't served, right? I think it brings a uniqueness together. It's everybody's lens coming in because we all have in life just biases, right? So if it was just veterans serving veterans, could we do it in a very dynamic way? Maybe not. But it's like the entire community in San Diego is just like so vast and so established to know that we want to support our military. I think it's amazing when community members are like, I want to do my part and then work and bring everybody together to actually see that mission through. Like, I think it's awesome.
So I have a fun little anecdote for you right over here. This little book right here, The Indianapolis Story, that's told by Lynn Vincent and Sarah Vladek. Sarah Vladek's a personal friend of mine from college. And Sarah Vladeck earned the right to tell the survivor's story from the USS Indianapolis tragedy when it was sunk at sea. So before all these survivors passed away, she traveled to their annual reunion to capture the stories and made a whole documentary about it. And she's not a veteran.
Yeah.
She wasn't, but she did that thing. Now, Lynn Vincent, who also happens to be a San Diegan, is a veteran, and they kind of co-wrote the book together. But it's that kind of like that effort. I don't know. There's something personal about it. I love that because our line, our Cruz family line, up that line 2 generations is one of our veterans, Henry Cruz, who was a survivor from Pearl Harbor. He was on the Arizona.
Oh, wow.
And he lived until 2012. And so when he passed away back then, and it's now 14 years ago, but he has a thread that goes to the day where where the attack of Pearl Harbor happened, and he was on the Arizona.
Right.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, that matters for something. I care about that. We care about that kind of thing. That needs to live through us and what we do.
Absolutely.
So anyways, I want to talk about 0800 because you guys are clearly doing all this too with that same kind of heart set, that drive, motivation, and I'll say intensity. Maybe I'm just Uncle Andy in the corner yelling today. Again, I'm yelling all the time. So Ashley, let's talk real quick. What are you doing in 0800 so people know? And then I want to talk some about the program features, how you're helping people, and how to get the community involved.
I think it ties into what we were just saying. My role is to go out in the community and broadly bring us all together to know what we're doing. So that means I'm out there talking to anybody who will hear what it is we're doing for those veterans who have served. What we know is our veterans cannot unsee and unhear what they've been through. And what we know is our community is an amazing group of just people who want to help. Mm-hmm. So my role really is to get out there, talk to every corporation, build partnerships with the military, the leaders that are running Navy Region Southwest and Marine Corps Installations West, and all of the different, entities that bring the military together, but bridge that, right? Like bring the military to the civilian population and show where we intersect to help those veterans. And then build a team that is ready and is dynamic in its own right? There's people who have served, there's people who have not served, but they all have a credentialed social work expertise that comes together to be able to execute that program. So I feel like my role is really to get out there and just network, bring civilians to the military kind of challenges, and really bring solutions to what we know our veterans, need help with.
Yeah. It sounds like you'd also be a really good party host. You're like, I'm bringing all these people together. They need to know each other.
She is.
Party.
Like I'm picking up on these like characteristics. I'm like, you sound really organized.
I think ultimately, one would say, well, you're a fundraiser, so you also do have to have the party. You have to have kind of different events, whether they're in a private residence bringing people together or they're at a corporation. Mm-hmm. But you have to kind of go through the party or, bring people into an experience where you have an opportunity to share what it is you're doing, but in a fun way, right? You can't just meet somebody and then get, really heavy in a topic and go for 30 minutes. Like that's not going to work. But being able to build rapport with our community so that they can tap into our network when they need it, or they understand what we can do for a referral that they can send in, that is very helpful. But we might also do it in a party style to, talk about the very serious and then some of the fun things that we do for our veterans that we serve. That's really awesome. I want to tell people who maybe are unfamiliar with what 0800 is. Let's talk about the programs you offer. Let's kind of what are each of the programs? What do they do? And who does it serve? Can we go there?
No, absolutely. So we have 3 programs. Well, let me say 4. Let me correct that. So we have our MTSP program, which is our military transition support. So that one is what I would call our traditional program. So within that program, we serve transitioning service members and their families to help navigate civilian life. Now, that program runs from about, say, all the programs, but that one specifically about 18 months prior to them separating out of the military. That's the important part. So we want to catch them before they get out. And that one can be up until 3 years once they're out, because we were meeting veterans who were saying, hey, I'm post 3 years, I'm still transitioning. right? The transition looks different for everybody. So within that program specifically, our goal is to help them acclimate to civilian life, help them, do they need to get connected with the job? Do they need help with resume assistance? Do they need help navigating the healthcare system? Do they need help networking, right? The different aspects of life. Do they need help maybe perhaps finding another community outside of the military, or maybe finding those comrades again, right? That one's an important piece to that. So that's our MTSP program. Then we have our Sergeant Fox, which is our suicide prevention program. That program, that eligibility is for everyone. So they could be active duty, transitioning, veteran. They could have gotten out during World War II, could have gotten out into the early 2000s. It doesn't matter. And that also can apply to their families and their children as well. So within that program, that main goal is to get them connected to the mental health support that they need and deserve, also getting them connected to the VA. However, they don't have to go to the VA if they don't want to, but just making sure that we're helping them get connected to other organizations in the community that still fit those needs.
Yeah, like that, like warm handoff,
Yes.
like connecting those two parts to make sure there's no fall off in that. It's like, I'm positively and effectively introducing you here, and there's a warm handoff, if you will. I guess I'm trying to come up with a better way to say that. That's all I keep thinking of.
Perfect way. No, that's exactly it. Making sure that we're not just say, here's a resource and figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
We're not doing it for you either, but we're there to help them walk beside them along the way as they're doing it, and making sure that there was a connection made on the other end, right? We also work very well with our community organizations to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable, and we're also holding our other communities that are helping accountable, that we are supporting these service members and veterans. Then we have our alumni group, which is, we don't like to say goodbye to our participants. So we do put them in an alumni group where they get a bunch of resources, follow-up, newsletters, always kept in the loop. That way, knowing maybe 10 years from now, life happens again, right? And they can always have a community to return back to and ask for that support. Then we have our Vet Connect program. That one is more of the one-offs. You can call in. Maybe you don't qualify for any of our other programs. However, you just need a connection here. And the way we work that and the way we built that structure was that way we don't turn anybody away.
That's really important,
Yeah.
because I know that I've overheard stories. Sorry to jump in. I've overheard stories where maybe someone was out there looking for help or looking for a response, and it just didn't happen. Yeah. And then this like frustration bred. But I'm really happy to know like that's like the intent and the focus is that everyone's tended to.
Well, I think you have to thank, first and foremost, like, let's thank them for their service. Less than 1% of our nation's population raises their hand to say, I will serve this country. And however long they serve, whether it's a year, 4 years, 30 years, I think we owe it to them to say thank you. And now what is it that I can use my expertise, my knowledge, my networking, what I do every day? How can I just listen and take a moment to just hear them and then say, okay, maybe you do qualify for one of these programming opportunities, or maybe I can connect you to one of my partners or somebody in the community who can best serve you for what it is you need today. I think we owe that to them.
Yeah, I love that. And, you know, part of us having this platform here in the Friends of Mortgage Heroes is for us to bring voice to things that are happening beyond the office walls and beyond the work that we do that other people can know about and be connected to in a variety of ways. We have business topics. We have investing topics. We have nonprofit topics. We even have our own nonprofit. So, you know, this is kind of it's a good fit for us as well. But I see you guys out a lot. You guys are like, I know I can't really say you're out everywhere. No, you're not everywhere, man. You guys seem to be in a lot of places. So how are you, can you talk a little bit like that effort? I mean, it seems to me very obvious that you're making a concerted effort to increase the visibility for 0800, be involved in the community, be known, be trusted, and actually be effective in what you're doing.
Well, I think it comes down to business development 101, right? Like, we're running a business at the end of the day. What are we doing that makes a difference in brand awareness that's going to make the bigger difference for the veteran we serve or the family we serve? And if that opportunity makes sense, we're going to do that. I know last year we originally connected because of HESFest, right?
Mhm.
Mike Hess is like, hey, I want to help nonprofits in the community through a party, right? Let's get the community together to really understand what's going on. That makes total sense for us to get out there and put our brand out there and say, of course, we would accept being one of your nonprofit partners. That's a no-brainer. But why is it a no-brainer? Because it puts you broadly out there to say, listen, to these people who might not have heard of you, this is what they're doing.
Mhm.
And so when that person needs help or somebody needs to be connected to one of these programs, they're going to maybe think of us. We're not going to be able to serve everybody, right? That's just not possible. But we will be able to connect you out if we cannot serve you. And I think I spend a lot of time analyzing where we should be in the community.
Mhm.
We do some fun things. Like right now, it's the San Diego Seals season. So we're doing some hat tricks. So if you're familiar with sports and you're familiar with hat tricks, like you're in there trying to count, did that player score and did he score again? Wait, I need the other one to score 2 more times, like to get that 3, because what we've done is we've taken the opportunity to work with a corporate partner who then builds. So we have a corporate partner, Alaska Airlines, who sponsors the SEALs, who helps put our brand out there. And every time that hat trick happens, we get miles dumped into an account that affects our veterans because we can give those out. And so when you think
That's
about
so
like
cool.
the return on us intentionally going out there and saying, where does it make the most sense to build this brand and awareness? Sometimes it's really fun things like that. Sometimes it's really fun things like HessFest. And sometimes it's getting on podcasts and it's writing, an article in the business
Yeah.
journal. And
Yeah.
it's doing everything you can that makes sense for the pace that we can handle.
It's like I mean I'm listening to all this, and it's like there's the direct and there's like this indirect, like with the whole Alaska Airlines and
Yeah.
miles that then go over here, and the reason I'm trying to say it that black and white is for the people watching and listening. Is like your participation might be in an indirect fashion. Maybe you have a connection in town that could be a good resource or a corporate partner for Zero800, but you may not be. Maybe you aren't a direct connection, but the company you're connected to, the organization, the community group or neighborhood group you're part of might have a connection with the connection. That's how we're even here now, is our connection to a connection. So this isn't because I knew you right away. It's because I met you somewhere else. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is a cross section with this other part of my life that we need to make sure these things intersect.
But it makes total sense. Like we were meant to know each other.
Absolutely.
I'll tell this story. I had an 06 who retired. And he retired, I think it was about 2.5 years ago. And I had met him at an SDMAC event, so a San Diego Military Advisory Council event. And it's a big networking event. And he had said to me, like, I enjoyed this conversation. Like, could I meet with you one-on-one? I was like, okay. He actually enrolled in the program because we serve any rank, any discharge status. So he did enroll. He met with Talia. He did the full assessment. He had a transition plan established for him, but he wanted to meet with me one-on-one because he was like, I'm watching you on LinkedIn and you seem to know everybody. He's like,
we're
no,
talking about-
you literally know everybody. And I was like, I don't know everybody, but like, let's have this one-on-one. So long story short, I'm listening to what he wants. He's a pilot. He doesn't want to do that. There's all these things that he's saying he wants, and it has nothing to do with the military side. It's very much out in the civilian sector. And so we're talking about his career growth. And so I said to him, I don't know why, but I know a guy that I think you need to know. They both kind of were the same rank, different branches when they got out. One's about a year ahead of him in the transition. I'm like, I don't know. They're just going to vibe. I know that I need to intentionally say, you need to know this person and go do the one-on-one coffee or tea or whatever it is, right? So they went for a beer. They didn't take the coffee or the tea. They went for a beer. You fast forward, they work in the same company now.
Oh, man. See,
You're like,
that's that like soft skill stuff where you're like, you see something in somebody and it's like, it's not printed on paper. It's not on a resume. You're not like, we're looking at some algorithm or software to like make a match.
Right.
You're like, oh, I see this in you, or I see this in you somehow too need to get together.
and I think it's like, I've reflected on that quite a bit over the last year and a half. And it's like, aside from joking with him being like, I think you owe me a beer now.
Yeah.
It's, you're not in it because you want something. You see that somebody is trying to obtain something, right? He wants to stay in San Diego. He wants to continue to raise his family here. He wants to make this a home. He's kind of from here. So like he knows it's very expensive to live here. He's going through all the motions that all of us go through, right? And I just somehow was like, these two who have never met just need to know each other. And like, if we all follow that, it's going to follow people to the resources they need. And that could be you and the mortgage firm. That could be us at 0800. It can be so many things, but I think people are meant to meet people.
Yeah.
And people are meant to share knowledge. And the more we can do that, look how interconnected we can become.
That's such a great share. Like, yeah, I mean, if your intuition, your gut's telling you that, it's probably for a reason.
Yeah.
Probably for a reason. And like, take that to the next step. Like, you follow through on that. I think is my own takeaway as I'm listening to you. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be hosting this conversation right now. I'm like, no. I'm also like sitting here like, oh yeah, I need to do that better or do that more.
Yeah. Well, if I inspired that,
yeah, no, that's great. But also beyond just me, like anyone, the people who are watching right now, like find yourself in that same example. Like, what is that in your life, at work, at play, at home, and in your personal relationships too, where you could make a connection?
It feels good.
Yeah.
You're like, was it my job? My job, the technical side of my job, I could have said, you're best suited over here, end of conversation. He absolutely is best suited in being enrolled in such, and he did that part. It's the extra stuff, right?
That's a great point.
It's
that's so good.
We could just say no.
Yeah.
We could say, I don't want to do this podcast, or no, I don't need to meet with you on it. I think you're solid here. But if you feel like something else needs to be, follow the intuition.
That's really good.
That's how things get done.
Right.
Yeah. And I know that there's a variety of severity to types of situations you guys step into someone's life, or maybe they step into your life. Probably a little bit of both. Talia, can you talk? I know you mentioned the clinical aspect of what you guys do. I want you to be able to share with people that, again, never heard about you guys, don't know what you do. What are you talking about when you mean the clinical aspect of what you do, and what clinical type of services and support are you currently giving people in town?
So completing mental health assessment. So right off the bat, you come and have an initial appointment. We'll do our baseline. So that is the patient health questionnaire 9. So those are the 9 questions that screen for depression. So, and that can rate, it's not a diagnosing tool, so it doesn't mean you have depression, but it means that you're showing symptoms of depression.
Like more like an indicator kind of thing?
So like an indicator.
Got it.
And then we do the Columbia suicide severity screening. So of course that one is screening for suicide. And what that allows is for an open conversation, to open up that dialogue and creating a safe space and building that rapport with someone. Of course, we also complete, there's other assessments that were completed, such as the socioeconomic scale, also the self-efficacy scale. So there's other measures of what is the level of hopelessness or hope that someone has in their life, of feelings of confidence, right? On being able to reach out and seek support, because there's so many different levels to reaching out for help, or what inhibits someone from reaching out for help, what inhibits someone from feeling connected to others. And so what we try to do, and really what these tools are, and the way that I try to teach my team to use them, is as conversation starters. And as more as like we were just talking about, is about that trusting your intuition. And once you go over these tools with them, is what is your intuition telling you on where to lead the conversation next? So that's what those screening tools are for. And so within that, we do monitor that throughout their time in the program. Of course, more with the Sergeant Fox Suicide Prevention Program, but also with MTSP, we do automatically do the PHQ-9 as well. And if needed, we'll do the Columbia. Also, we do safety plans. So the safety plan is really important.
Oh, interesting.
So the safety plan is usually whenever someone, and outside of 0800, I've been a clinician for a while, so outside of here, usually a safety plan is done when someone indicates a higher level of suicide risk. And however, here at 0800, we just do it all across the board, because we don't think it can hurt anyone. Because once it's too late, it's too late. I always say, once we've hit red, you can't see anymore. So let's say not what are the red flags, but what are the yellow flags? Right?
Yeah.
What are the indicators so what a safety plan is it's what are the thoughts that are going through your head when you're starting to notice that you're getting into a crisis? What are the moods? What are the behaviors that you're starting to notice within yourself? Or what would someone notice with that by looking at you without you saying anything? Right? What's different?
Yeah.
What's changed?
Yeah.
Also, who can you reach out to? Even if people can sometimes say, I don't have anybody, right? Well, do you have a doctor? Do you have a physician, right? How can we keep you safe? Do you own firearms? If you do own firearms or you have access to medication, who can you give those things to once you are starting to experience these yellow flags?
That's really good.
And because what's really important about the safety plan is that whenever someone gets to that state of deep despair, hopelessness, once we get to that dark place, they're in a state of distortion. They can't see anymore. Sometimes having that safety plan that is just very basic can be that compass and help navigate the way out.
That's really good.
Can I add?
I like that.
The family, like
Yeah.
a safety plan. I speak on this a lot as a family member. If a family member who's a veteran is in crisis, it could be very difficult to navigate. So going back to something that's a bit simplistic and it's accessible to them, whether they save it on their phone, they have a piece of paper, it's in their house, it's on their fridge, like wherever it is, like the team is teaching them how to have that ready and to follow it as best that they can, because in a bit of chaos, it's hard to follow a plan. But if you have something that you helped write, that you helped understand along the way in the stages, then when you're in the midst of that, you're going to respond maybe a little bit differently. It might be that the veteran is going to remain in crisis and might get the help they need, and it's not going to feel great, but you still had something that you could reference, and there's a feeling behind that.
That's really good. And I mean, sorry, the like younger Andy who is like into psychology and all that is like firing off like, oh, that's amazing, what a brilliant idea. No, that's so smart. I mean, having a plan of action, having it written down, having it in your own writing potentially, and accessible in a place where if there is that fog or things are unclear in a moment or in a couple of moments, you have that thing right at your fingertips rather than I don't know what to do, where I go, and then it devolving into something else. I think that's really smart. I like that.
What we also do is have them sign it.
Oh, wow. So, you're going for the full commit. Put your John Hancock on that. Wow.
So there's something about, not like Ashley mentioned, like we always try to get the family involved or a friend involved as much as possible, not just giving it to them, right? Because they might not share it, right? But that way someone else has it. So aside from that, but there's something about, with the veterans and the service members that we serve about taking an oath, right? Making a promise. There's something about promises. We may not want to keep a promise to ourselves, but we will not want to break that promise to someone else. So that's really why we really want to make sure that we have it there. So they sign it and then our staff members sign it as well.
That is so good.
It remains private to them. Yeah. Right. The whole experience, I think, at 0800 with a credentialed social worker is that it is one-on-one. It is protected by HIPAA. It is an interaction that is very private, that they're signing a release to bring in that family member, to bring in that friend in that safety plan experience. There's a lot of structure around what we do. It's very much a mental health facility in a sense. We're not inpatient, we're not clinical, right? We're on the other side of that, but it's structured and it's private. And they think that's when people will open up, when they feel safe in itself. And then you're looking at what they need and you're providing them what they need. They start to feel like, hey, maybe I can do this.
So can we talk about some of the stigmas that surround this? Because I know that prior to people getting your help or being referred to you, there's a lot of other stuff happening. There's a lot of other, like, I feel like I'm the only one dealing with this situation, or no, I can't relate to anybody, even though like I know when I get out of my situations, I know I'm not the only one going through this. I know I'm not the only one who's ever been through a situation like this in my life, but somehow when I'm in the middle of it all, I get like these horse blinders. I'm like, oh, no one else understands. No one's going to understand. No one can, I can't talk to anybody, even though I know everybody. Like there's this thing that like comes over us. How are you guys effectively addressing like the stigma connected to asking for help, especially among our active duty and veteran community?
I think, by talking about it more, by going out to commands and speaking to their higher ups about a lot of the issues that we're hearing. And I think also by letting them know, providing resources where they can connect with other individuals who are experiencing the same thing. And I want to mention too, one thing that I've also noticed is it's the stigma related to no one cares. No one is going to want to help me. But it's also, if I say this, how is it going to affect me? Is it going to affect my benefits? is it going to affect my future? Because now I let the cat out of the bag. So there's this anxiety surrounding now that it's out, what is going to happen?
Like it's conditioned that you should never have a problem ever for anything, regardless of how severe it is.
Yeah.
And that conditioned response then means I'm not going to say anything about when I am having a situation or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I do think people are also afraid to fail at what they try to do. Right? I mean, is that not life? And most people, you're going to go through something, you don't want to fail at it. So if you ask for help and then maybe you're not putting in as much work, or the agency isn't putting in a lot of work, or whatever's happening and it's breaking down, if it's not working, then you feel like you're failing. You might not try again.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. The kind of the fear of failure can drive people to just clam up too.
Right.
And I think going back, because I think I kind of circled around your question a bit earlier, but that the best way I think we try to combat that is by responding, by doing what we can about it, by doing our jobs, by meeting them with dignity and respect
and
empathy and compassion, and really following through on what we say we're going to do. Because I think what happens is what I see is a lot of that loss of trust in other people. There's loss of trust in themselves. So if you're able to instill that just a little bit by simple follow through, that's like a simplistic trauma response for a clinician to follow through on what you're saying to do. Keep it consistent. That way there is that level of trust that's able to be built back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's really good. And I hope that I hope there's somebody who either directly needs to hear that part of this message, or is in connection with someone who you can forward that to. I want people who are watching this today to know that you exist. You're here. 0-800 is here to help you directly or indirectly if you have a family member, loved one, friend, coworker who needs this kind of help. So thank you for answering kind of the more clinical stuff. Look, it's not always easy to talk about some of these more like heavy topics, especially when it comes to emotional well-being, mental well-being. We're talking about veteran suicide prevention. Like, these are heavy things. These aren't, super easy topics like what color car do you want to go buy, and what do you want, which amazing restaurant would you like to eat for dinner? We're not promoting those kinds of things here today. But it's really important for me that people know that these services exist and that they are here in town and in person and by phone to get help with. So I appreciate that. I want to talk about or ask you, what are some of the things and initiatives you're hoping to tackle in 2026? So maybe there's the stated public ones. You guys go on the news and you guys write articles. You're like, how are you communicating to the public what they can support you guys with this year?
I think, we want to continue having conversations like this where we're bringing uncomfortable topics to the table, right? That is important for us. Whether we go out to your company that you're running and do a talk of just what we see in this demographic, what the trends are currently, you might have something very specific you want us to deliver to your team. We want to share what's going on. Corporations, like I would say, I speak a lot to groups that are organizing like veteran resource groups within their companies. How can we best serve those veterans? How can we work well and understand them a little bit more when they work at our companies? Like, we can help with that and really have, bring in that data that kind of shows what it is that they might be looking for when it comes to workforce development, benefits, things like that, but also just like understanding what it might be like to be a veteran and coming out of the military and having their first job or this and that, and how these veteran resource groups can help. I think getting out to, really we're intentionally going out to a lot of the military commands and things like that so that we can have direct conversations with like, hey, we are here to help once you're outside those blue and green lines. And the community is here for you. And being, I think, really strong advocates across the community where we can. Having a conversation, the first one we had, like we don't want to see that those have to happen, but they do have to happen. And so if we can be of assistance to that and work with our political leaders and city and county leadership to really understand what the data is we have, it's going to help drive change, resources, funding, all of the things back to them. So like we plan to be really busy in 2026. We said we wanted to sail a little bit, but I think we want to, we do want to continue to build upon the momentum that we have been. And I know that's really where I think the direction for 0 8.
Maybe I'd put it sail a little bit. How about more wind in the sail? How about that? It was just more wind. You can bring your wind, everybody. Bring your wind to the sail.
As long as my sailboat doesn't turn into a speedboat.
That's right. No, yeah, you don't want to go too fast so people can't stay with you. I guess another way I want to ask this too is like, what doors need to be opened this year for you guys? Or how about doors need to be kicked in? Where do you guys need to be that you're not at yet? That you'd like to? Our community, our friends, or the people we do business with, like they're connected to places too. Yeah. Where does 0800 need to be this year that you're not at yet?
Wow. It's like kind of like if you had a magic wand, what would you do?
Yeah, kind of. Like, where would you just like,
I love those
I show up here. Yeah.
I think obviously for 0800, we're a nonprofit, so we thrive off of community partnership and funding. So where we want to be is a little bit larger than what we are, so we can add more team members in. But I think we want to really partner with more people in a strategic way. We cannot do this alone.
Yeah.
We're not going to solve the challenge of suicide, right? We certainly are not going to be able to do that alone, even if that was attainable. We're not going to be able to raise the most money and serve the most people. What we know is there's over a third of our county in number is either a veteran, military, or connected to. Out of 3 million people, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
So this small agency that is boots on the ground in San Diego needs the community's help in order to build a partnership, have a corporate relationship, have a fundraising opportunity, be able to train our team or inspire our team or just work with our team. Like, that's really the magic wand answer, is like to continue to reach out to us if you want to connect with what we're doing and the work we're doing, and we'll roll up our sleeves to find the unique ways we can do that together.
Yeah. I know you mentioned earlier a corporate sponsorship. I mean, and I know of it because of our, our mutual client, the Hesse, is, the Alaska Airlines.
Yeah.
So if you work at a company that is an Alaska Airlines type company, publicly traded company, and your employer there, and your employer cares about the active duty service community as well as veterans and their family, maybe that's a great way to get your corporate people connected with 0800 in this coming year. Are there other things that like you guys want to see happen? Like, I want to we're going to have this kind of moment in time early in 2026. By the end of 2026, I want to take a big old victory lap. What's something that you would not maybe flick the wand, but what would you want to take a victory lap for this year? What would you go, oh yeah, we did it?
I think
so many things.
0800 being a household name.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right? What we got out of our partnership with Alaska Airlines is not anything we could have thought the day we first met. It's the building of it. It's the minds coming together and saying, well, this is what we have access to, and this is what you do. And let's write it down, roll it up, throw it away, and start again, and do that a few times to see what sticks. And it really then shows that that victory lap would be that more and more people, when you meet them, are like, I heard of you. And that's been happening. We just want to see more of that because we truly believe in what we do.
Oh, yeah, that's obvious.
Honestly, first and foremost, it's about who we serve. So if we can get out there and get more and more people to just know the name and recognize it, then I think that's a reason that I would run those victory laps over and over again.
That's good.
Yeah.
How about you? What would you say we can celebrate at the end of this year?
For me, definitely more referencing earlier, more established partnerships with the mental health community. I think also for me, it's really, my focus this year is really also building partnerships with those resources that provide alternatives to mental health treatment, because
let's talk about that. Yeah, that's something that
for everybody.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because you're talking about these other. So are you talking about agencies that do this, individuals that do this? Like you're talking about mental health services. So
both wellness, mental health services, both. We do vet all of our resources, how to make sure that they're not charging our clients, to also make sure, not scamming anybody. However, we do know that everyone has something to offer that someone hasn't thought of. So I know that is something that a lot of our clients are looking for is I don't want to talk. I've shared my story so many times over and over again, and it's not for everybody, but finding what are those other avenues of alternative treatments or therapies. Like I know there's equestrian, which is really popular. There's healing wave aquatics, which is amazing that I know a lot of our clients love, which is water therapy. So, but really strengthening and building those partnerships.
Yeah, I know that the alternative space has changed a lot because the term kind of used to just encapsulate things that like we really can't sign off on, but we kind of know they work, right? But now it seems like it's opening up to lots of other things that are those, maybe some of those things, and also other things like you mentioned, like swimming, like equestrian. I actually know a group in town also connected with Hess, Saddles and Service out in East County. They're becoming friends. I'm having them on the show later this year, actually. And then I actually have a friend, shout out Matt Schmidt. My buddy Matt, who I used to work with, Coast Guard rescue swimmer, veteran. He runs he runs a swim club.
Okay.
And so he has veterans as well as other people, and he works at a university. Yeah. But he runs a swim program that's like kind of intense because he's a rescue swimmer. I mean, come on. I used to joke he'd like drown me in a cup of water, but that's because I'm a terrible swimmer, I think.
Believe me.
Yeah, but I think some things go overlooked. Oh, it's a good one. Art therapy too.
I think people like when you find that passionate thing, and if you can connect that to building upon your mental health.
Yes.
Like people genuinely will say, you're so busy, Ashley. Like you're out there, you're everywhere. What do you do for yourself? Just without any of these layers of things that could be going on. And I'm like, I go to my YMCA class. And they're like, why? You're busy. Like,
oh, yes, the why.
Yeah. What do you mean why? I'm going to the why because I need to. Because it fulfills something in my soul that makes me feel good. So like if our social workers can, within their client interaction, find out what makes people feel good, we can connect them to those unique modalities out in the community. And that's the partnerships we want to build.
That is so important. Like, and I mean, like on the personal level, like it's important to know the stuff you care about and that like are life-giving to you and that bring vitality to your life. And if you don't know what that is, like maybe start there, like figure out what brings you enjoyment, what brings you some excitement and some like sense of like purpose. And that's a great way to connect to doing something.
Some of our veterans love gaming.
Oh, really? Okay.
And people dismiss that.
Yeah.
But when
I guess I know
talk to
like gaming,
people
but...
who like, right, then they're like, well, that doesn't help you.
I didn't think there was like a cohort of people, but like, I know they like gaming, but I know they hang out and do it, but okay, that makes sense.
Right.
Sometimes it's a competition, it's getting online, it's talking to people. It fulfills something in them. So there's so many outlets, I think, out there, and we can only think within our own boxes. Yeah. So if you have something to share with us that you're doing that could support the demographic we're serving, we are always open to a conversation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are always on, like, I'll say the front foot. You're always being proactive about being sharing with the community. You do this online, you do it in person, you're doing it in media, you're doing it at events. I know at least on your website, you have two different things. You have like a Veterans Insider Bulletin, and then you also have a blog.
Yes.
Is that a good way for people to kind of keep track of what you're doing, things that have come up or things that are coming up?
Yeah. We try to send emails out to our, constituents, so to speak. And we try to update our website to really understand, like, here's the things that we are doing. It could be a little hard because, we're a small team. So maybe the pitch is if you have a company who can help us do better at our comms, like, hey, that's magical for 2026.
Hey, maybe if you're a veteran and you did comms as part of your service career, you could do some work over here at 0800 too.
But that's how we try. We try to do, like sending emails out of this is the opportunities we have, this is what we're connected to, update the website.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
You like and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button.
To our newsletter.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
For someone who's in immediate help now, whether they're looking for transition services or they really are at that flashing yellow, like what's the best way for them to reach out to your organization?
Yeah. So you could sign up through our enroll button on our website. You can also always get a hold of me. So you can message me my email. So it's T as in Tom, Gaytán, Gaytan as in Nancy, and then at 0800.org. 0 spelled out, the number 8, and then 100 spelled out.
Awesome.
And we'll connect someone with you right away.
That's all going to be in the description box. So if those of you watching this, it's going to be email. is the best way to reach out in that case. And
it's important, I think, to know that we are the humans behind those buttons, right? So that doesn't go into the abyss. We're there. We see it. As soon as you enroll, we see it. If you feel like somebody is in that yellow, you know of that, you want to do a referral in, we will ultimately need the consent of that person to serve them, but we will make the phone call, we will connect with them and get them connected into services. So there's a lot of entry points into 0800.
That's really awesome. Last thing is, if you're watching this and you are a decision maker when it comes to the finances of your company, or you're an employee at a company and you know the decision maker of where to make contributions to, I want to specifically highlight the donation page and also direct people's attention to that as well. You can see some of the corporate donors, some of the community participants that you guys have as advocators for and with. I know that one of the things you're also pursuing is being in better connection with the other nonprofits in town that serve similar, even in some cases mildly overlapping areas, but so that there's a whole network of support throughout San Diego, not just one lane for all things. So for those of you who are watching and listening to this, take a look at that as well and think of ways where what you're doing over here in this part of your life could be connecting with 0800 as well.
Yeah, I think lots of people say, how can I support 0800? Volunteerism, board membership. We always have different referrals coming in for both of those things. Think about what your expertise is and where you can help. And if 0800 is not the place, connect to another nonprofit that connects with you, right? Because we need you. We really need you. Like we're not the only one, but there is a lot of people doing a lot of great things. And if you have a little bit of free time, an hour a week, even if it's virtual, there's a way you can connect with a nonprofit and support them. I
really respect that attitude and approach. Is we want to fit you with the thing that fits you versus, no, we'll just take it all. And then, I love that because you really are putting the needs and the skill set and maybe gifts of the person ahead of what your own organization's needs are. Yeah. Of course you're going to have needs. Of course you want skill-setted people to come and work with you and for you and all that. But at the same time, if there's not a fit, there's just not a fit. And I really respect that. I think that's very important nowadays. There have been these like ebbs and flows in nonprofit world where, man, it's just doing great and everything's awesome. And then there's just so much scrutiny and so much criticism and judgment and so much this and that. And I think we're in this this next kind of turn where you're really starting to see that this level of local advocacy is becoming very critical and important, and cannot just be overlooked and criticized from the cheap seats and behind your keyboard warrioring. So I have no qualms about having this conversation online. You can keyboard warrior all you want, and I'm going to thumbs down your comment if you're dissing 0800 over here.
Don't do that. But, I think it's important to know, like, there's going to be duplication in the community. There's going to be personalities. But I think at the end of the day, we should all, a nonprofit, be worried about who it is we're there to serve. If somebody needs food, we want to get them food. If somebody needs suicide prevention services, we want to get them those services. If they need childcare support, like, let's connect people to where those are. I didn't even know what nonprofit was when I was a kid. Like, I didn't know. Yeah. And the first time I used one, I was like, I didn't know that was a nonprofit. I thought it was a business.
Same.
Right.
Same. I had no idea.
Once we know what things are, like, let's get people connected the way that they can get the help they need. Like, let's not make people work so hard if something can be solved for them, right? And then that agency can help with them connecting even broader. So it's not always going to be us. And I think that's our stance on it. That might not be the common thing that happens. I don't know. I would like to believe most nonprofits think that way. I talk to a lot of CEOs at other nonprofits, and I think we all know there's enough people to serve, and there's enough challenges in the community that will probably stay in business. There's not a need to compete with each other. It's more like, let's get those things out there and get those referrals going. I think that's why 0800 is where it's at.
What is the best way for people to follow you online, like 0800 online, and then also you two individually?
Yeah. Well, of course, people will look at my LinkedIn. I'm probably good at that. Don't try and follow me on Facebook. I hacked once and then I didn't want it, and then I got it back, and I have like 50 friends. Because I don't know if I want it. So
LinkedIn for you.
LinkedIn free all day. I'm good at LinkedIn, and of course our websites and such.
So LinkedIn is the best way. LinkedIn and our subscribing on our newsletter.
And then as far as your organization, where's the best way for people to connect with you and like share about what you're doing? Because I know you're posting updates and you're posting these these wins here and there. You're also posting needs around social as well. Is that on Instagram, Facebook? Where can people find 0800 online?
On Instagram as well as Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Try to be on LinkedIn as well. 0800 is on LinkedIn because I think we're pretty heavy on LinkedIn.
Good.
But we try to be on all of them. We're not on Snapchat or anything like that. Sorry.
Snap what? What is that? What is that
Not
even?
that.
I'm too old over here at this. I don't even know what the heck you're talking about. I have to pretend like I don't know what you're
It's
talking
probably
about.
not the coolest thing to be on anymore.
I don't
so
know.
I'm not cool either.
I'm not cool anyway, so like it doesn't matter. It could be uncool and they'd be like, "Oh, he's there." Thank you guys so much for coming in and talking about it. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask or let you share with everyone today?
No.
No? Okay.
I think we covered it. I mean, we appreciate the conversation and
Yeah.
just getting the word out. And I think to the point of our original conversation, what we would say to the listeners today is be open to hearing what's going on in people's world, their life. If they're willing to share with you, they're connecting with you in some way. We got to learn how to receive that so that we can help get them connected where they need. And sometimes that's going to be 911. That's just the reality. But there is a 988 number. We want to push that. We want to make sure everybody remembers that, like we remember 911, that if you feel like somebody is in that yellow zone that Talia was referring to, that get on the phone with 988. They will walk you through it, right? Because none of these agencies locally are typically open 24/7,
No.
but 988 is. And so is 911. And so is probably you being able to go have a coffee with somebody and just hear what's going on. So we challenge the listeners to listen more and really remember that number and promote that number so people get the help they need.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, Talia, thank you so much for being here. Ashley, thank you for coming back.
Yeah, I
it was
appreciate it.
awesome. My pleasure, my honor to have you both here today. Thank you for coming to share everything you're doing individually within 0800, what 0800 is doing for the community at large. And I hope that all of you watching today found something in this episode that will not only help you, but also help someone you know, love, and care about. Please do not be shy in sharing this message with people who need the help that they are maybe having a hard time asking for or don't know where to get it from. You will find all of the links for the things we talked about today in the description box below. Talia and Ashley, I want to thank you both so much from the bottom of my heart for coming in today. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining us on Friends and Mortgage Heroes. And we look forward to seeing you with another amazing guest next week.